Hi guys, Cal here. Today I'm going to talk about something close to my heart, and that is indie rock music. And I'm going to be talking specifically about a term that has been thrown out recently, considering a certain time period of indie rock music, and that is the term indie landfill. And for those of you who don't already know what that is or haven't read anything about it, it's not a new sort of term, but it's been around for a little bit, maybe a couple of years, maybe a little bit longer, but it's basically the idea that there was a lot of music put out between the years of, say, 2001 through to, at the latest, maybe 2013, 2014, where there were thousands of bands coming through that popped off globally and had a few albums out and then disappeared into obscurity, whether that's breaking up or falling out of favour with the public. And I want to push back a little bit on this narrative, not in the sense that the terminology is wrong, but in the sense that I think we need to be a bit careful about how we're talking about past music, especially because humans at this period in time still making music. Humans are still making music, and those people that were making music that 20 odd years ago, 15 years ago, I would assume that the majority of those people are still alive. To hear people sort of say that their music is landfill, I get the idea around that, considering that there was just so many of them out. But I kind of feel like it's quite a negative connotation to have, and if we're going to apply it to just indie rock music, we're going to have to probably apply it to all genres, really, and just call it landfill music if that's what we want to do. But the certain targets of this sort of slander on these bands, is bands like Razorlight, The Bravery, The Rapture, Maximo Park. You can even put in some more popular bands that have still endured decades into their careers, like the Kooks or Franz Ferdinand. Those aforementioned artists, those last two, are still active touring bands and putting out albums quite regularly. So they don't get brandished with that, but I feel like there's a lot of it going on, and a lot of that music was actually quite good, even if it has fallen out of favour. But times move on, and the demographic of people that were listening to a band like Mystery Jets or White Lies in 2009 are aging millennials like myself. So things that always change, and we're looking back on. I think we need to be careful of how we critique things, and I think we should be critiquing our own critique, and not sort of going, what were we thinking back then? I think that's a really negative sort of way to look at it. Because this music was the soundtrack for a generation of people that were just pre-social media boom, but we were still in the midst of a revolution that was about to happen with Napster, and then Spotify would come along shortly after that. and we were still making, musicians were still making money off physical CDs. CD sales were still pretty good in the 2000s. So people are saying, using the term landfill, like, because there were so many of them, and it's quite negative. But I don't think there's anything negative about a whole bunch of musicians being able to make money off their music. I mean, I think that's actually a really good thing, whether you like the music or not. So I think for me, the last word on this is, yeah, be kind to the music, even if you don't like it now. You did like it in a certain time, and you can always kind of go back if you want to feel nostalgic, and just go back, pick up that Pigeon Detectives album, whatever, or Mystery Jets, or Yay Sayer, or whatever, and go back and pick up those albums and listen guilt-free. Yeah, that's what you can do, I think. I'll see you in the next video.